But I was actually watching that fight thinking I wouldn't be surprised if he retired and actually didn't fight Crawford, because I don't think he'll want to lose to Crawford, a much smaller guy, just because he's at the end of the...
Eddie Hearn has shaken up the boxing world with a major revelation. Canelo Alvarez might be ready to call it quits. According to Hearn, if what he's saying holds true, the long-awaited mega fight with Terence Crawford may never happen. Out of nowhere, Hearn delivered the harsh reality: Canelo could be done. No more fights, no more opponents, and Crawford? He's not even on the radar. No negotiations, no phone calls, not even a hint of interest. Just like that, the dream matchup fans have been hoping for might be dead in the water.
To be honest, I'd be very surprised if that fight happens. I think His Excellency has been pushing that fight. It didn't seem like it was something that Canelo was really up for, to be honest. And like, when I've spoken to Canelo before about that fight, I think his kind of feeling is, when I beat Crawford, everyone's going to say I've beaten a 154 pounder. Like, and he also, I think at his age as well, I don't think he wants to be fighting guys that are just moving all the time, and he wants people to come to fight. And Crawford can't really come to fight like that in that fight because he's at a massive size disadvantage and he can't be standing in front of him. I don't think that fight will happen, but then when you think about it, like what are the options for Canelo Alvarez?
Benavidez.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen either. You know, he's put his flag in the sand, hasn't he? 150 million. I know he takes less, but I just don't see that. He's now up at 175, Benavidez. I don't see him coming back to 68.
It gets worse. Is Canelo really done? Insiders are now saying what fans feared the most: Canelo Alvarez has been quietly hinting at retirement, possibly after one last big payday. The back-to-back fights, the grueling weight cuts, the non-stop pressure, it's all catching up to him. He's tired. And more importantly, he's done giving fans the fights they want. From here on out, it's all about what he wants. So what does this mean for Terence Crawford? Why is Eddie Hearn pouring cold water on what could be the biggest fight in boxing? Is Canelo ducking? Or is this just smart business? Let's break it down. For years, Canelo was that guy, fighting 3 times a year, jumping weight classes, chasing greatness, and cementing himself as the undisputed face of modern boxing. But something has clearly shifted. After a one-sided, low-risk win over William Skull, it feels like Canelo's career has slipped into cruise control. And now, with no interest in a blockbuster bout against Terence Crawford, fans are left wondering, is Canelo Alvarez retiring soon?
If it isn't Canelo next year, are you done from the sport, Terence?
I wouldn't say that. Right now, I'm just weighing out my options and looking for the best opportunities and options for Terence Crawford in my career. Everybody got answers that need to be answered, you know, and the only way they can be answered is if me and Canelo is in the ring and we fight. So if that fight does happen, then everybody answers that and questions and do's and don'ts will be.
Eddie Hearn drops the truth about Canelo versus Crawford. Eddie Hearn, the man who helped steer Canelo Alvarez through multiple blockbuster fights and championship nights, just dropped another bombshell. Not by announcing Canelo's retirement, but by admitting something fans feared: the Terence Crawford fight is dead. And worse, it might have never even been close to happening. In a recent interview, Hearn opened up about several potential matchups: Shakur Stevenson, Edgar Berlanga, and Teofimo Lopez. But when the conversation turned to Canelo, his words hit hard. "We got to a stage," Hearn said, "I think we did 7 or 8 fights with Canelo, and then we just ran out of options. He asked me, 'What do you have for me?' I told him, a Bivol rematch. That's it." Let's be clear, this is Eddie Hearn, Canelo's most prominent international promoter, admitting that the only real option left is the one fight Canelo doesn't want to take, and with no interest in Crawford, it seems like the list of possible mega fights is drying up fast.
I don't think it's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. And Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for Canelo. But what's his options? I mean, like, you know, if Bivol wins, he could fight him for undisputed. That's a very tough fight. What's the other options? You know, Benavidez is up at 175. Obviously, His Excellency wants to make that fight, so guess we could see it next.
No Crawford. No Benavidez. No Beterbiev. Just Bivol again. So, let's get this straight. no Terence Crawford, no David Benavidez, no Artur Beterbiev. Just the possibility of a rematch with the one guy who already handed Canelo a clear loss, Dmitry Bivol. And what did Canelo do? He walked straight over to PBC. No drama, no public fallout. But sometimes silence says more than words ever could. Now, let's address the elephant in the ring, Terence Crawford.
Bud Crawford,
Yeah.
just won his debut at 154. Said if the money's right, we'll fight. Everybody wants that fight. What do you feel about that matchup? People saying the weight, all this stuff. How do you feel about that?
You know, everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything. And you know, like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 weights less than me. But if the money is right, why not? Right? Why not? But look, I'm focused 100% on Berlanga. I know I have a challenge in front. I never overlook any fighter. So I'm focused 100% in this, and then we'll see.
The dream match is dead, and that's the worst part with the dream matchup against Canelo now dead. Here's what makes it sting even more. Terence Crawford wanted that fight. He was calling for it, pushing for it, practically begging to make it happen, and Canelo? He gave us William Skull, then disappeared, ghosted the fight. Ghosted the fans.
When you say, I want Canelo, is there anybody in the camp that would say, you're not ready for this?
That's a big boy. He's strong. That's a conversation. It's not just, oh man, you will whoop his ass.
Yes, man type stuff.
I'm not worried about Canelo. I'm not thinking about Canelo. I'm just focused on Israel Majimov.
In a small way, is this a stepping stone to your dream fight?
I don't look at fights as stepping stones. It's about now.
Duck or done? What's really going on with Canelo? Now fans are left wondering, did Canelo just duck turns, Bud Crawford? Or is this all part of a slow, silent retirement? Let's be real, Canelo's not afraid of anyone. He never has been. But he is strategic. And at this stage of his career, it's starting to look like legacy might be taking a backseat to control.
How is Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Yeah, I don't think he
with
can,
Canelo?
in all honesty. I mean,
Yeah.
he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35. 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement if you're Terence Crawford in that fight. The last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him.
Yeah.
You know.
Think about it, Canelo is 34 years old. He's made hundreds of millions. He's the undisputed king at super middleweight. At this point, he doesn't have to take risks anymore. Taking a fight with Terence Crawford means putting everything on the line, the legacy, the belts, and the aura. One bad night, and suddenly the legend has a dent, and let's not forget, he's already lost to a smaller man before, Dmitry Bivol.
Bivol.
It's the self-belief. Like Crawford, I can't tell you how much belief Crawford has. I spent the weekend with him out there, we was on the plane together. He has no doubt in his mind that he beats Canelo, and he does it easy, right? And Shakur has so much self-belief, zero doubt. And it's not like a complacency either. It's just like, I know exactly what they're going to do, and I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Even Eddie said it. Canelo's done with the smoke. Eddie Hearn even admitted it. When they pitched the Bivol rematch, Canelo said, nah, straight up. So what does that tell you? If he won't run it back with the guy who already beat him, and he's not interested in a fresh challenge from Terence Crawford, then yeah, retirement might be a lot closer than anyone thought.
What is it you want your legacy to be after that last match?
One of the best in the history of boxing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cry that day.
That day?
A lot.
Why?
Because I'm gonna miss boxing so
You'll miss
much.
it. Yeah.
That moment when you walk into the ring and hear all the people screaming and singing that song you put and everything, I'm gonna miss that moment. But
here's the twist. It might not be all on Canelo. Eddie Hearn also dropped a major hint. The entire game has changed. And the reason? The Saudis, just like we saw with Fury and now with Teofimo versus Boots, the money and the control are coming straight out of Riyadh. Eddie put it plainly, if they've got the bag, the fights happen. If they don't, everything slows down. He added that boxing is entering a new era of global expansion, and we need to allow that growth to unfold. So maybe this isn't just about Canelo ducking Crawford, maybe the Saudis never wanted Canelo versus Crawford, maybe the fight didn't fall apart because of ego, but because of politics, networks, and a massive global power shift now calling the shots in boxing.
Are we going to see Terence Crawford versus Canelo?
As I tell before to the ESPN, I give him the offer. If he's smart, he will accept it.
So just so we're clear, so everyone understands, you've already sent an offer to Canelo to fight Terence Crawford if Terence Crawford wins tonight.
But if he doesn't, I want Ortiz.
You want Ortiz? Virgil Ortiz versus Terence Crawford?
Yeah, if they accept, we want to see this fight, and I want to see Shakur Zubaydah.
Shakur Stevenson is here as well.
He accept, De La Hoya accept, Eddie accept. Let's do it.
Let's do the big fights. You've done so many big fights.
Canelo was the boss, but not anymore. Canelo Alvarez was always the shot caller, the boss of boxing. But now, he might be getting boxed out of the very business he once ruled.
Terence Crawford, his name keeps coming up, and I know he's a lot smaller than you. Is that a fight that you would ever consider under any circumstance?
You know, I always say if the fight make sense, why not? But he's not in the plan.
He's not in the plan?
No.
Okay. Is there a specific reason for it? Is it because of his size, or it won't do anything for you in terms of pushing you toward your goals?
You know, like I say, if it makes sense, maybe. I don't know right now. I just gonna enjoy this fight.
One more major reason this fight's always been complicated. Let's not forget why Canelo keeps dodging this matchup. The huge weight difference. We're not talking a few pounds here. Terence Crawford is a natural welterweight who's dominated at 147 and only recently moved up to 154. Meanwhile, Canelo's been comfortably reigning at 168. Even stepping up to 175 at times. That's a 20 to 30 pound gap between where each fighter feels most at home, and in boxing, that difference isn't just about size, it means power, durability, and risk.
I've been in the ring with Crawford too.
Oh shit, I didn't know you sport.
I got Crawford ready for when he fought Sean Porter.
Okay.
I was with him for a few weeks. What do I think of that fight?
Yeah.
I think that, everybody knows that Crawford got the skills. I do think that Canelo's a little big for Crawford. It'll be a tall task for him to win. It'll be a lot you have to. It'll be a lot to get that victory based on size alone. Not that size wins fights, but you got a guy that got size and skills. It'll be hard. I mean, nothing's impossible. But if I had my money on somebody winning the fight, it'll be Canelo Alvarez. Even though Terence Crawford is a great fighter. They're both great fighters. You got two great fighters in there. But I think one guy got the advantage due to his makeup, his body type, how big of a person he is. I think that will be a deciding factor in that fight.
Jumping up 21 pounds, would Crawford have to fight the perfect fight?
Absolutely. Size will play a factor in that fight. It'll be a lot harder to damage Canelo. Canelo his punches will be way more effective than Crawford's punches if they fight at 168.
Canelo knows the stakes is not about to drain himself down and lose his strength. And one thing's for sure, he's definitely not going to give Crawford the chance to come in light, fast, and sharp.
Could beat Canelo Alvarez.
I think he's too small. But then again, I thought he was too small for Spence. So shows what I know. So I don't know. I think that's a lot of weight class jumping, but we'll see. It's a good talking point. I don't know that would really happen. Listen, we've seen some strange things in boxing. Don't get me wrong, especially in the recent years. So I don't say never, but I don't know how seriously that's going to be taken. But I think when you're at a level, when you're coming off a big win like Crawford just did, anything you say reverberates through the sport.
The fight looks great on paper, but the reality is different. Canelo would have to make major sacrifices to make this fight happen, and at this stage of his career, he's just not willing to do that. That's a big reason why he's been dodging the fight. without ever officially ducking it.
You said 68, but you mean 54, right?
No, 68.
You want to go up to 68. So
Yeah.
so who would you fight at 68? Canelo?
If he win, or
Wow.
Charlo, the winner.
Wow.
That
would be crazy.
I want to be 3-time undisputed.
So your
Canelo.
goal was to go up and become undisputed in 3 different
There
weight
you
classes.
go. There you go.
Wow.
Something that never been done before.
Right.
I always said, man, that's a big step. That's a big step. But for a person to go up 3 weight classes from 147 to 168 and to win,
yeah,
and become undisputed, wow. What can they say?
What can they say?
They can't say nothing right now, but what can they say? What would they say though? 3-time undisputed champion and the smaller fighter that went up 3 weight divisions to conquer one of the baddest mans.
Oh, and what about Edgar Berlanga? He was being groomed as Canelo's next big opponent, a young Puerto Rican star, a knockout artist with a huge personality. But Eddie Hearn just revealed the truth. The team believed Berlanga could sell out a massive arena in Puerto Rico after Canelo, but Eddie disagreed. Negotiations broke down, and the relationship between the camps turned rocky.
It's a great fight, you know. And I'm Team Shiraz now because, you know, Edgar's had a lot to say. A lot of it is, it's not, like, we get on all right, but, like, you know, I think that I really like Hamza Shiraz. I think it's a brilliant fight. I think that Edgar will get a lot of confidence from Canelo. What Hamza said about the Canelo fight, Berlanga done great in the Canelo fight, but I don't think he really pushed himself in the fight as much as he could have done and probably might do now with that confidence. He hits very hard, but Hamza's been really starved at 160. You see the size of him, he's huge. I think it's a fantastic matchup. I think Hamza needs to be very careful in the first 5 or 6 rounds of that fight.
Why does that matter? Because Canelo was running out of viable opponents. Berlanga could have been a ticket seller, but now that bridge is burnt.
I'm not being fun, like, you know, it's not like he's Canelo Alvarez or, you know, and he's a good fighter, like, you know, he's going to be in a fun fight, and it'll be a tough fight for both on July 12th.
Yeah, you know, I remember hearing Oscar say one time when fighters would leave him and do their own thing, like, hey, you know, it's nothing personal, it's just business. I feel like he learned that, like, over the years, you know, because he himself did that when he left Bob Arum and so many other fighters. Like, have you gone to, like, that point where it's like no hard feelings? I know it's just business, just, hey, you're looking out for you.
Plays out. I guess it's case by case. You know, you also have to understand the business and the work. Like, it's a very tough sport. I think that the problem with a lot of fighters is they get poisoned by people around them. You know, in their ear, oh, this guy, you got to do this and that, and a lot of people that don't know what they're doing or talking about. But you've got to look out for yourself in this sport. And I think that the reality is sometimes
Not just dodging Crawford, Canelo's losing ground everywhere. It's not just that Canelo isn't fighting Crawford, he's also got tension with rising stars in his own weight class. Translation: the chessboard is empty, and the king has no moves left. This might be the most revealing moment of Canelo's entire career. Not a knockout, not a title win, but this silence. This refusal to chase the biggest challenges, and it's Eddie Hearn, the man who helped build the Canelo empire, saying it bluntly, we had nothing left for him. Canelo's not chasing legacy. He's not chasing belts. He's not chasing Crawford. He might just be chasing peace. Or maybe, he's slowly fading into retirement with one last payday still in sight.
Country. If I had to travel the world to fight, then so be it.
So, what now for Canelo? Maybe one more fight, a retirement bout, something sentimental in Mexico, but don't hold your breath for Crawford.
I can't go down anymore. But you know, like he say, you know, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say it's too small, and then, you know, he need to enjoy his fight. Okay, he deserve it. He deserve it. I like Spence, but you know, I like Spence and all the respect for him and everything. But I knew. I think is the the type of fight Terence Crawford is fighter is different. 168, but like I say, like he say, nobody's gonna give me credit for that.
Thank you very much. For Crawford, the path is wide open. Charlo, Spence rematch, or even Boots Ennis if he stays at 147. Plenty of options lie ahead, and for the fans, here's a reminder: don't hold your breath waiting on fantasy matchups. Boxing is wild, and sometimes the best fights just never happen. Canelo vs. Crawford is officially cooked not because of ducking or fear, but because the game has changed. And so has Canelo. Retirement is in the air. And Eddie Hearn just lit the match. Hit that subscribe button if you're tired of dream fights dying before they even happen, and drop a comment below. Is Canelo done for good or just done taking risks? I'll catch you in the next one.